The big news that dropped just a few minutes ago, the Broncos have released their preseason schedule. They will be on the road against Seattle. No dates, exact dates and times are set, but that will be the week of August 13th to 17th at CenturyLink Field. Week 2 will be at Houston, date range between August 20th to 24th. And then their last 2 games will be at home. The first one in week 3 against San Francisco 49ers between the 27th and 30th of August. And then the last one, September 3rd through 4th, one of those 2 days, against the Arizona Cardinals. None of them will be nationally televised. They'll all be locally televised, which I think is a little interesting. I don't know, Troy, did they have any nationally televised preseason games last year? I don't know if I remember that.
Seems like the Seattle one was the opener. They opened at home last year in the preseason for the first time since 1997, which led in part to their woes with their field that they've replaced yesterday. But I'm trying to think, because we were at San Francisco, at Dallas, and they played Houston. If there was one televised, it would have been that Seattle game.
They'll all be televised locally, though. They have a relationship with Channel 9, and we will see the games. But I agree with you, Dan, that surprising. You wonder, should I say this out loud, is a little bit of the sheen off Peyton Manning? Because I think they're going to be... I would say that but I think there are going to be about 6 games this year that will be nationally televised, because you got Peyton Manning against Tom Brady for
which is
there have been more of them than there have been James Bond movies. The sequel, and Roethlisberger, and the San Diego Denver game every year is nationally televised because of Rivers and Peyton Manning, and so I think you'll see, and they're going to play Baltimore again and Indianapolis again. So I mean, there are a lot of chances there for the Broncos to be on national TV or the featured game on Sunday. Also,
But you see with this preseason schedule, right back at CenturyLink Field, very difficult place to play. Yes, it's a preseason, it doesn't count, but I'm sure it's probably going to help them at least a little bit in terms of maybe preparation if they end up seeing them there again during the season.
It's interesting. There's bad blood in a couple of these games. Seattle, they don't like. They just don't like the Seahawks. Seahawks just earboxed them in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Everyone knows that. Houston, they hosted for those joint practices last year. That got ugly. I mean, J.J. Watt's swinging at guys are swinging at him. And then if you remember, that's the game where DJ Swearinger, the safety, gave Wes Welker concussion, and Peyton Manning received the first fine of his career for taunting Swearinger after a touchdown. So there's some bad blood there, and there'll be...
and now you know the stuff with Gary Kubiak.
There'll be a storyline with Kubiak and Owen Daniels, but probably more Kubiak than Owen Daniels, if I'm guessing. I'll get the Owen Daniels story. I'll be doing the Owen Daniels story, return to Houston. And Bruce Arians of Arizona will be his first return to Denver since he called Julius Thomas's chop block the dirtiest play in NFL he's ever seen
in his 37 years in the NFL.
37 years in the NFL. Dirtiest plays ever seen. Yeah, Thomas won't be here, but Arians will.
I personally can't wait for the 49ers, because I want to see Jim Tom Sella in person and see what he's like. That's the new coach of the 49ers, if you ever noticed it. That is acting a bit weird.
He doesn't strike you as the head coaching type. I met him at the Combine, and he was better than that original Comcast interview when he was hired, which I thought, I'll be completely honest, I thought was a Saturday Night Live skit, because I didn't know who he was. And it was so awkward, and so it was just like, who is this guy? And if I'm Adam Gase watching that, I'm just like punching myself in the face. I lost the job to this guy? He can't even articulate a sentence, but he's gotten more comfortable with the media since then.
Yeah.
But what do you think of that mix of teams? I mean, it's a... preparation-wise,
it's decent. It's decent. I like the fact, if I'm a coach or player, that they finish at home, get your travel out of the way early, and that allows you to really focus, and because their first game is going to be nationally televised, likely with Peyton, and maybe not on a Thursday night, but to finish at home against NFC opponents is a good thing. It's a decent schedule. Going to Seattle is, all things considered, a decent trip. Last year they finished at Dallas, and that's a tougher trip. So all in all, not bad. These schedules take on a familiar form. I think they've played Arizona like 20 of the last 21 years in the preseason.
I'll be more interested in the regular season schedule, the dates, because I always look at it and see, Here they go to Kansas City in December again.
Right.
And how many cold weather games they're going to have with Peyton Manning, now 39 years old? And how are the division matchups going to be in terms of, they played San Diego some years where it's like they play and then they play again 3 weeks later.
Right.
So I'm more curious about that. My only thoughts about exhibition ball really is they used to go to San Francisco all the time and guys would get hurt on that bad turf in San Francisco. Really key players would get hurt. And so they're playing in Seattle. Weather will be nice that time of year. Then they're playing in Houston, right? Indoors.
Indoors.
So, that's
that
fine.
turf is known as the worst in football. Everyone whines about that turf. Wes Welker blew out his knee on that turf when he was still with the Patriots. Jadeveon Clowney blamed his knee injury in part because of the turf. So something to keep an eye on. But to Woody's point, the San Francisco turf was always considered one of the worst before they moved into Levi's Stadium. But for Bronco fans, again, as Dan said, there's no official dates out yet on this, so you can't plan and rearrange your wedding and or kid's birthday party just yet because we don't have exact dates. Those will be released later.